10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Coming to you from the Poorly Painted Studios in Cumming, Georgia, this is the Chuck and Z Show. And now, here's Chuck and Z.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck and Z Show. Of course, I'm Chuck.
And I'm Z.
And with us tonight are the Litas Atlanta.
Yes, we have Chauna, and Sharon, our producer, is also a Litas Atlanta member.
Yay!
Producer Chaos in the house.
I like that you spell it K-A-O-Z. I'm like, nice.
Yeah,
Hooray.
I changed it up a little bit.
I want to be cool, so thank you.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
I'm super excited to have you guys on. It's funny, we always get to talk on a one-on-one basis, but we never really sit down and talk about kind of what you guys have done over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
From an outsider's perspective, the very idea of wanting to start the Atlanta chapter of the Litas to sitting there yesterday, or not yesterday, what was that, Saturday? Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I've had a few whiskeys. Saturday, and just seeing all of these people turn out, from the vendors to the people that were supportive, to the event you guys put on, which was awesome and impressive. It's been a lot of fun to be a bystander and kind of watch this stuff come together and watch the work you ladies have put in over the last 5 years.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal, like being there, seeing all of the people that showed up. Like, I wasn't expecting the amount of support from our Atlanta motorcycle community, and more people that weren't on motorcycles came out to support us. So that was freaking amazing.
I feel like it was our best turnout. I mean, aside from the first year, but that was at a dealership where they had people coming in. But I feel like this year was our best turnout, just us on our own.
I know. We didn't have enough motorcycle parking.
Yeah. Cars getting towed.
Yeah.
The guy up the hill was not too happy.
He wasn't. But hopefully next year they'll have like better parking and stuff, like, because they're expanding. So we had our event at Pop's Coffee, which
Shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Pops. I mean, they donated this space. And they're donating all the sales from the coffee and the food that was sold to one of our favorite fundraisers or fundraising
Charities.
Foundations. Yeah, foundations.
Okay.
Sorry. Words are hard.
They are sometimes, no doubt.
Cure Childhood Cancer, which is amazing. It's run by Kevin Kennedy. He's the chief operating officer for Cure, along with all of his partners that are involved, and it's really awesome. Shauna knows someone who was able to utilize, and they help support her son while he was going through his cancer battle, and he overcame that, and just so many other children that are in need of support, and families that, can you imagine just like not having any support, your job, having to take time off from your job, having to not be at home with the rest of your children. And what Cure does is they provide meals, they provide money and other type of support for families that are going through cancer.
Yeah. I think the friend of mine whose son had, I can never remember how to say it, Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah.
She said they show up to the hospital and Cure is there literally with a binder of everything they're going to go through, everything they have to do, the things that you no longer think about because it's not in the forefront of your mind.
Right.
Because you just want to make sure your kid is okay. That binder has everything, like a checklist, your mortgage payment, your utility payment. If you need a hotel stay, they help you with that.
Wow.
They help you with childcare. I mean, they literally come in and help you with everything, and they are such a great organization. I can't even remember how we got connected with them, but I remember immediately thinking that I wanted to, I think I mentioned it to you the first year of our anniversary party. I was like, I want to partner with somebody. Like I want to help a charity. I want to do something. And we had no idea it was going to end up being this big.
Right.
I didn't plan on this many years later us still, you know, doing things to help raise money for
I
them.
think about the calendar shoot that we did 2 years ago.
I forgot about that.
It was so much fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, we did. We had a Litas calendar, and all the proceeds went to Cure.
Yeah.
And we each had a child's poster that we got to carry, you know, and it highlighted who these children are. It's just not theory. It's like you're actually seeing a face of someone who's going to benefit. You know, it was really touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt really lucky to be part of that.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how worlds collide because Kevin Kennedy, he's a motorcycle rider. He's a part of the Mild Hogs
Yeah.
riding group.
I've never heard of what? Oh, the
His
Mild
riding group. They call themselves the Mild Hogs.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
You're not being sarcastic? Chuck's
No.
laughing really hard right now.
Snorted.
I mean, you've heard of the Wild Hogs, right?
Oh my gosh.
You
I
remember the movie?
died the first time
movie.
they
What's
told
the
me
movie?
that's what they call the Wild Hogs.
The Wild Hogs.
Yeah, but who's in it? I can't even
Oh,
remember.
John Travolta.
John Travolta and
Yeah.
some other guys.
They call themselves the Mild
Some
Hogs.
other guys.
I'm
No.
embarrassed. I did
No,
not
the
know
first
what
time they
that
told me
was.
that's what they called themselves, I was like,
It's cute. It's
Yeah.
so cute. They were like in our 30s, we were the Wild Hogs, but like now that we're
we keep it mild.
older,
Right.
We're low key. We're low key on the gangsta stuff.
Yeah. So it's fun to like have those, you know, connections and to have that relationship with Kevin and Barbara, his sister, and his wife Margaret Ann. They're great, and so it's really, it makes us feel amazing to like give back to these kids and to the community through fundraising. So
Right. And especially when we're in a position that we're in where people see us, we're out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one thing to be seen and be out there, but why not do something with it?
right,
You know,
yeah,
that's what's in it for me is like, if we're out there anyway,
yep,
let's go do something big.
exactly, yeah. So it's amazing, but it's been a great 5 years.
Oh, speaking of, here,
yeah.
I brought you guys this.
Oh, yay! Look at this.
Oh, cool.
We can cure childhood cancer.
We'll put that up in the studio somewhere.
For sure. It's a flag. And I think they're actually selling these. September is Cancer Awareness Month. So
It's a perfect
it's
opportunity.
a perfect opportunity for you all to give back to the community, to families in need. So curechildhoodcancer.com. You can go ahead and donate. And we have a goal to raise $5,000 for Cure. And we did a little over $2,000 with our event and leading up to the event. So
I don't think that's including the sales yet.
it's not.
It's not including the sales from who
Like there
else
were
said they
books? Do you remember the
From
books?
Pops.
Yeah, Mimi and Moto said they were
Mimi
donating
Emoto's books.
Okay, so
a
Mimi and Motos.
percentage.
And Pops
And
is
then
donating
Pops.
all of their proceeds from all the food and beverage that they sold on Saturday. So we're waiting to hear what those numbers are. But our goal is $5,000 for 5 years of having our Litas branch in action. And you guys, we'll post the link. So donate if you can. We'd really appreciate that. But 5 years, girl.
Yeah.
Ladies, this
Been
has
a hell
been
of a ride.
a hell of a ride.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, funny.
Yeah. So what do you want to know, Chuck?
What do I want to know?
Yeah.
So obviously we've talked a little bit about your genesis and all of this, but Chauna, what kind of started you with riding? Well, first, what do you currently ride?
I currently ride a 2021 Lowrider S that I'm considering trading in for an adventure bike now that I live in the mountains. I'm torn. I'm going back and forth. I think I might do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I got into riding. I've always wanted to ride. So people in my family rode when I was a child. I remember, I think it was my uncle put me on a bike when I was young and just kind of rode me around the neighborhood. And I remember being little and being up towards Dahlonega, there's like on Long Branch, there's that horse riding place up there, and my grandfather took us up there. My gramps took us up there to ride horses, and I remember seeing this crew of bikers go by and being like, I'm gonna ride one day. And I remember him being like, oh, this is dangerous, and you know, the things that grandparents say to kids. And my first bike that I ever wanted was after watching Tomb Raider. I wanted the Ducati.
Okay.
It was the first bike I ever wanted. My first time really on a bike was on a friend of mine's, getting on a bike and riding. And then I rode passenger with him. I can't even remember how old I was. It was right after high school. I rode passenger with him up through Tail of the Dragon, actually. And it was on a sport bike. And I remember hating it.
That was your
Holy
first
cow.
Tail of the Dragon
That was
experience
my first Tail of the
on
Dragon
the back?
was passenger on a sport
No.
bike. And I remember hating it because I was so scrunched up
Yeah.
the whole time. I mean, I'm 5'9" on the back of a sport bike on
Yeah.
Tail of the Dragon.
Jeez.
And it wasn't was I scared? Yeah, I was scared, but it wasn't even that. It was the being so uncomfortable on the back of this bike. And I was like, I can't do this. Fast forward, people around me had bikes. I've been on and off bikes that weren't mine. I rode on people's bikes, never had a license. And then in 2018, I took the MSF course and I bought my first bike, and it was an 883. And I've never stopped since. I think I put about 5,000 miles in 4 months on that bike.
Wow.
Yeah.
I rode
You
everywhere.
the hell of it.
I rode
out of it.
everywhere.
I
mean, if
remember the
could
first
ride-
time I met you, Chauna, we were doing a photo shoot. It was the first year I had joined the Litas. So this was 2018, I think,
Mhm.
maybe. And I asked you, because we were in downtown Roswell and everyone parked their bikes backwards, and I hate doing that. So I asked you if you would do it, ride my bike backwards, kind of turn it around. And your hair was all big and curly at that time. And I was like,
Oh, I remember that.
you look so good on my bike too. I was like, oh my. But I was like, you were so comfortable, even though I had been riding a similar amount of time. I wasn't. So I think it was just like a natural fit for you.
I'm a fake it till you make it type person. So
Well, also, you just take the bull by the horns and you freaking ride it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's you.
It is.
What about you, Sharon? How'd you get into riding?
I always wanted to ride. I just always thought motorcycles were amazing. And it's interesting because when I really started looking at motorcycles, it was only Harleys that attracted me. It wasn't like a sport bike. So it must have been something I had seen when I was a kid, but I never really knew what it was. And the guy that I was dating at the time was riding as well. And so that was really inspiring to me to see a bike up front, be on the back of a bike for the first time. And then I took the riding course at Hellbender Harley. I took it twice because I was nervous. And then I took the advanced rider course.
Not that she failed it.
Right.
No,
She just wanted to take it again.
I was like, can I stop this bike if I really want to? I was just nervous. But yeah, I really loved the feeling of it. It was actually such an accomplishment for me. So I was so nervous about it. So to kind of override my natural tendency to like survive, I really was like, I'm going to do this. And wound up finding a bike in Florida that was a used Harley Fat Boy that I still have, which Z has been on in her driveway. We have a little clip of it. You look great on my bike too. Well, my bike's kind of amazing. So
It is.
I've ridden it.
Bike.
yeah, shucks. All of you guys, we have one person in our room who hasn't ridden it. You will at some point. But yeah, I would say that there is such a spiritualness to riding that I think people that don't ride really maybe miss what that even means.
Yeah.
But the other day, I was just saying before the show that I was riding up in was it Dawsonville, and there's a road where when you go over this crest, you can see mountains in the background. And the sun was going down, but the sun was still on the mountains. And so it was kind of dark where I was, but like the mountains were so lit. And I mean, I was I was trying not to because I need to see because I'm riding, but I was crying because it was just so beautiful. And the temperature differences in the road, and there's just a connectedness that I don't seem to find in many other ways that I do, like on a bike. So yeah, and it's been such a blessing to be part of the Litas because when I was looking for a group to ride with, I really wanted a lot of, I wanted women to ride with. And just having the relationships that are, like you're my closest relationships that I have are people that I ride with. And it's been such a blessing to my life. So much fun. And you also kind of pushed me to get better.
Yeah.
Like even doing Tail of the Dragon last year, that wasn't our plan. Like a couple hours beforehand.
Right? We're like, let's just do
I
it.
was
Right
like
about that,
shaking.
too.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
last minute, and I was like, it's probably the best
you
thing.
tried to bail. And
What,
I was
me?
like, you got this. You
Not
got
me.
this. You were like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this. You got this.
No, I did think I couldn't do it, but it was only like the whole time we were there, it was all fine, and we were eating, and you guys were like, we're close by to the Tail. We're just gonna do Tail of Dragon, and I was like, my hands started shaking.
You were like, you lost your appetite.
I was like, what? If I had known this whole time, I would have been all anxious the entire
Exactly.
time. So
That's why we kind of just
yes, sprung
snuck
it
it
up.
up on you.
So same.
Same.
The first time I got on the dragon, I was nervous. So that's a common experience.
Yeah, I talked about it in a couple of podcasts, or
Yes.
maybe last podcast, that I hyped it up so much in my head
Yes, that was my
That
problem.
it was bigger than it actually was.
Yes.
You know, in my head. And then when I got on the road and I was like, oh yeah, I've done this. And going through like Blood Mountain
Y'all do
and
Blood Mountain so
Wolf
often.
Pen.
Nothing
Yeah.
compares
Yeah.
to that. If
Yeah.
you can
Such
do
as
that,
all
you're
of that.
prepared for anything.
I would agree, and I didn't know that though. In my head, I did
Right.
feel like it was this huge.
well, that's how I knew that you could do it, because you've been on Wolf Pen with us.
Yeah.
And such as and Blood Mountain. So those have, you know, some pretty technical turns and things like that. So I was like, yeah, you got this. You've done those roads.
You know, the first event that I went to was when we went to the fried green tomatoes place.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I remember
At the
that.
whistle stop.
At the
Whistle
Whistle Stop, and that's the first time I met you, Chuck. And you were so nice to me. You were telling me details about the movie that I didn't know, and so and I was a stranger, you know. But and Z had been texting me like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "She's checking on me. I'm a stranger, but she cares." Like I just felt so welcomed, and
Yeah.
that was the longest ride I had done by myself from my house all the way down to what is it, Juliet?
Yeah.
Is it
Yep.
Juliet?
And that's a long way to go by
It was,
yourself.
and through downtown by myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by having a goal. Like, okay, I have to get there by this particular time. If it had been up to me, I might have been like, well, maybe I'll take some back roads and won't go on the highway, or I would have shortcutted something, but I couldn't. And the pride I had afterwards was a very big deal to me. And this is the only time I've ever ridden with a bunch of people. The first time was when we left, because I
Yeah.
followed you. And I was like, okay, I can keep up with these. Well, I couldn't, but inside, inside I was brave, you know, like telling myself to keep going, because we did like a really tight U-turn. We were in the wrong direction in a very small, and I was like, okay, I've done this in class, but this was like real life. Anyhow, you all were so welcoming to me, and I have to say, it's one of the best decisions I've made is being part of the Litas.
Same.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask: is why the Litas? As someone who's a member of the group, what attracted you? So, thank you. But
You're welcome.
same question to Shauna: what motivated you to join the Litas? Not just as I'm going to join as a member. I want to be one of the founders. I want to help start this collective in the Atlanta market.
So I didn't know I was going to be a founder, actually. When I got the bike, I had just moved back to Atlanta. I had just gotten divorced, and I was within a year of moving back, and I bought the bike. And I was just looking for a group of people to ride with. I didn't want to be a part of an MC. I didn't want to be told how to ride or what to ride or
What formation to ride
what
in?
formation or what to wear, or
Same.
like if I wanted to ride, I want to ride. If I didn't want to ride, I didn't want to be questioned as to why. I wanted to be able to be 100% myself. So I'm just looking online at these riding groups, and I came across a couple of other ones, and they just didn't resonate. So I came across the Litas, and it just so happened to be an all-women's moto collective, and I wasn't necessarily looking for an all-women group. I was just looking for a group of riders that just ride. Even if it was just like a, what's it called? What's the app that people use? Meetup.
Yeah.
I was even looking on Meetup just for like weekend ride type people that would get together and ride. I could just meet up and ride with some people, and I came across the Litas, and I was like, well, they look cool. So I went and looked at, you know, who the Litas are and what they stand for, and I joined. And within 2 weeks, Z hit me up and asked me if I wanted to be a founder. She told me that they were just getting the Atlanta Litas started, and you needed 3 founders, and I think one
One
had
of them backed out.
backed out, and I was like, hell yeah, not knowing what I was getting myself into.
know.
I mean, I'm literally 2 weeks into really writing for real, like
Oh, for real?
for
Yeah.
real writing.
So when we met you, you were just 2 weeks into.
Fresh.
Okay.
Fresh. Like I had been on bikes, I had ridden bikes, but I was nowhere near
I wasn't
like
either.
ready to be a founder. But like she said, grab the bull by the horns. Like, cool, fake it till I make it. So
I mean,
we meet up at
Brother Moto.
Brother Moto.
Yeah.
In
I show
Atlanta?
up-
Down in
yeah,
Atlanta?
Yeah.
I miss those guys.
And that was my first time riding in the city. I rode down there by myself and met up with them, and we hit it off, and it was great, and went 100 miles an hour
Back home.
after that.
I know.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, I was speaking figuratively,
Yeah, she
not
was.
literally.
Yeah, we have gone 100.
I literally just gave you a blanket of protection. by saying allegedly,
I meant
and you're like, no,
Figuratively. Figuratively, we've gone from
All right.
0 to 100 with our group.
I'm lost.
Is what we're saying.
All right. I'm just gonna step out.
Are you?
No, it was funny because, like, literally, I was stressing out because I'd committed to this, and it was something that I wanted to do. I'm not a half-ass type person. Like, I need to go all in or nothing, and I committed to it. And so I was like, you know what? Just because one of the girls can't do it, we can find someone that wants to do it, that can ride, that has that presence, that has that confidence. And it was just something in your posts that just showed me that you were a badass, that you like, you don't scamp on anything. You go all in with everything that you do. And you'd ridden up to the mountains. You had the bike for a couple of weeks, and you went up to the mountains and rode, like, I don't know, almost 300 miles
Wow.
that weekend. And I was like, yeah, she's about it. Like, she's not half-assing it. She's not on the bike just to be on the bike, just to look good. It's like, yeah, I really want to ride, and I really want to, do this. So I reached out to you. I was like, I'm just going to go, take a shot. Who knows? There were several people that had joined, but nobody stood out to me as far as, like, being that person that had leadership abilities. And so I reached out to Chauna. I was like, hey, you want to be a founder? She's like, yeah, hell yeah. Was her response. It was like,
I
hell
remember
yeah.
thinking, like, what am I getting myself into?
I know, me too.
But speaking of leadership, can we talk about in the beginning? First of all, can we talk about how much I've advanced in the way that I lead?
Yeah.
In the way that I talk to people? Can we talk about how different our leadership was when we first started? I used to have to filter my posts and my emails to the group through Z.
Yeah. She was like, can you read this real quick and make sure it sounds nice enough? Because
What would you say?
it would just be like, she doesn't sugarcoat anything.
There's no bullshit. Like when I want something done, I'm gonna tell you what needs to be done. And she's like, well, we could soften it up a little bit.
How did you soften it? What did you say? Hey, guys or girls, like that, instead of like, fix this, you guys were doing it wrong.
It'd be more like, y'all need to get your money in now or you ain't going. She's like, well, maybe we could, let them know there's a deadline. And if they need some help with it, we could help them out. I'm like, no, they just need to get it in or don't.
And I'm like, yeah, but there's a way to talk to people.
So it just became a thing that everything I was going to send out went through Z first.
And then you finally, eventually.
Grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. And just coming from where I am, like being, in my work, the profession that I'm in, I can't be as blunt as I want to be at times. So this is what I really want to say, but here's what I'm going to say to make you feel all the warm and fuzzies, but also feel bad about like not doing things in a timely manner. And then we'll both be happy.
But there are a lot of personalities to manage in this group. So I can't imagine that you have to be, or that you would be one way and assume that everyone's going to receive it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like herding cats.
Yeah, it is. But that first year, it was a learning experience. Our first meetup, we had 8 people show up,
Yeah.
including us.
Yeah.
It was fun though.
And
We had-
Kat, our other founder
Yes,
who couldn't be
who
here
couldn't
tonight,
here.
she was at our very first meetup, and
Yeah.
she's been there the whole time.
The whole
too.
time. just
Yep.
dedicated. And that's what we wanted. We wanted people that wanted to come time after time. I mean, I know that you can't always show up to every meetup, every event, but it's very, very important for us to know that you're a part of it and that you want to be a part of it and want to participate and, you know, add value to the group. And those that don't want to be a part of it, they immediately know that, and they kind of, you know, exit themselves out. And, you know, bad attitudes and all that kind of stuff we don't tolerate, just because this is something that we're doing on our volunteer time. Like this is we have jobs, we have families to raise, and spouses and significant others to be, you know, to spend time with. So this is something that we're doing for our own kind of outlet, but also to create an outlet for other people and other women that don't have, you know, the support that we might have within our families and within the motorcycle community. So all the drama and all of that kind of stuff, it makes it just not enjoyable. And we don't want that. So people quickly realize that.
And they weed themselves out. You know, early on we talked about how to maybe filter some of those people, but we quickly realized that people like that don't feel comfortable around a group like us that are, you know, we're all inclusive and we're welcoming and
very positive.
We are very positive. And we always, you know, we tell the stories about how we screwed up too, because everybody does. We're not perfect, and we've all done stupid stuff, and you know, people that are perfect and never mess up, they weed themselves out. They don't feel comfortable, you know, in this group, and I'm fine with that.
I know. The things that I really like want, and I wish, but it's wishing for people what they want, right? Is people that sign up, and like we get so excited to have all these members, but we never see them.
Right.
And it's like,
I think we have, what's our roster at now?
It's like over 400 people.
Yeah, it's over 400
for Litas
people
Atlanta.
That have signed up for the Litas Atlanta, and I think we've maybe met a fraction of them.
Maybe a quarter, if not less, of the people that have signed up over the years. It's been,
over the years.
You know, 5 years.
Right.
So we probably do 100 members a year on average.
The same people show
And then you have people that, you know, come regularly. And then we have events like our anniversary party where we haven't seen some of the girls in like over a year because they
travel or they work.
Yeah.
But how cool is that they took time out?
I know. I know.
They made an exception to come to the party.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And
nice.
you know, there's a few people specifically that I can think of that don't show up because they can't. You know, they're traveling for work, or you know, their family lives don't align with our schedule, and they made an effort to come out.
Yeah,
to that.
That was super.
That was dope.
Yeah, that was super amazing. So this last anniversary party we had, and I counted kind of in the picture that we had like over 50 Litas that showed up between Atlanta, Lake Lanier, and Fayetteville, which is a new chapter that was formed last month. So that's very like inspiring, and just gives me a lot of just gratification and love for all the women that are part of the Litas and what it does, and what this experience is doing for them in their lives. And I think that people come because they really want that camaraderie. They love that connection with other women riders, and they make lifelong friends. I mean, you guys are my lifelong friends.
Right.
I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and we do things outside of the Litas.
That's right.
You know, and we go on vacation together.
We do life together in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
So
it's very special.
It is very special. Yeah.
Well, obviously, still from somewhat of an outsider's perspective, I've been kind of close to the Litas over the last 5 years. A little close.
Our number one Lido.
Follow
Lido.
Lita.
Are you a Lido?
I guess I am. But one thing that I think is really cool, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, is that you guys set your own blueprint for how this chapter was going to work. And speaking, again, I'm a guy, so speaking from a male perspective, you guys were very supportive of other female riders. Y'all championed female causes. But at no point have I ever got the impression that you were anti-male. which
No.
is something that sometimes you see.
Yep.
And we've had experiences in and around other types of collectives. Some of them are we just want to ride around the city and look pretty on our bikes, and hey, enjoy your life. Cool. But that's not y'all.
No.
Some are we want to pretend that we rode up to the mountains for the photo shoot and then have some dudes ride these bikes back for us. Right? That's not y'all. You guys are truly about riding. Y'all ride, which I think is really, really cool. Like you guys have ridden 7-8 hours. I've ridden 7-8 hours with you guys on long
In one
trips.
day.
In one day.
Yeah.
Done incredible rides. You're always down to go hit the mountains. You're right. The folks that were in it for something other than riding have kind of just fallen to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you guys do have female centric events where it's just, hey, the ladies today, you guys are always so welcoming of the husbands and the boyfriends and the guys whenever you're having co-ed events. And I think that that's something that's very unique about the Atlanta chapter.
Really,
And
you've heard of other chapters as not being as welcoming?
I think that some seek out female collectives because they don't want to deal with men. They don't like men.
Yeah.
They don't want to be around
female
men.
collective doesn't mean anti-male.
Right.
It
And
shouldn't.
and this is what I'm saying is a compliment. There's again, whoever wants to do that, do your thing. I don't have any problems. You live your life. But as a husband who loves to ride with his wife, which when we don't ride together, it's just like therapy. Like I need to ride with my wife. We love to ride together. It's been awesome that you guys have been inclusive, truly inclusive, to even folks who are of the other gender over the last 5 years.
What do you
So,
think of that, Shauna?
I mean, they're our support group. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it too. I think I
Yeah.
consider it couples goals. I love to see the way that you all relate to each other and how much you have that common bond. And if you are with someone who doesn't ride, how do you explain why you even ride or what it feels like? But to watch both of you or any of the other couples, like I'm thinking of Tracy and Anthony. I mean, there are many that
Jessica
have
and Scott.
exactly like it's just so sweet, and to have these common experiences and go places together. And I think that's like inspiring to me. I've never felt, not once, like, what's he doing here? I'm always like, oh, look, you guys are so cute. That's
Yeah.
usually or badass. That's what I mean. Yeah, you guys are badass.
I think, Chuck, you've told me a story a couple of times about somebody that said something along the lines of, like, he didn't understand how you could ride with your wife. Or
oh yeah.
What was that? What was that
The
story?
guy said we were talking and we were out somewhere and there was like a bike night or something and the guy was like, "Your wife? That's your wife? She rides?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, I'd hate it if my wife rode." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because I'd never get away from her."
Aw.
And I immediately went, "Damn, that sounds so sad."
Right.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be judgmental. I just met you, bro. But are you married to the right person? You
Right,
don't. You
right.
don't want to go home to you don't want to ride with your wife.
Right.
Who did you marry? Did you not know her before y'all got together? I don't understand. Yeah.
She's not a good writer, is she?
I do feel that I'm lucky though, because I do hear a lot of guys who are just they love to ride and their wife does not, and they don't want them to ride, and I don't understand that either. But I'm very lucky in that.
Well, you got me into it. Like, you went through your midlife crisis.
What were you, 20?
Quarter life crisis.
Yeah, I was gonna
quarter
say,
life crisis.
were you
She
20?
says that every time that it's
It's
a
a quarter
midlife
life
crisis.
Well, when we
crisis.
were younger, like, wasn't 40 like the midlife crisis? Or was it 50? I don't remember. I remember 40 like being over the hill,
Yeah.
which is no longer. Because I'm like,
I'm
I'm,
gonna-
41. I'm,
I'm
not
gonna-
over
you
the
know
hill.
what?
40 next month.
I
So watch
know.
it, ma'am.
You know what? I'm going to call you out on that as a writer because I think you'll understand. You've said midlife crisis ever since,
Yes.
right? You started that when I did it.
I
Like,
know.
You're like, oh, he's going through a
It's a
midlife
joke.
crisis. I know it's a joke, but as a writer, can you not understand walking into a dealership because your
No,
friend,
Absolutely.
your friend who owns a couple of Harleys happens to be here, and you're like, oh, he's at the Harley dealership. I'm gonna go say hey to him.
yeah.
Hadn't ridden in a while. Walk in that dealership, and you walk past
Your dream bike.
the machine.
I know.
and it just turns your head.
It talks to you.
Yeah.
It does.
It's like in the Transformers.
It did.
Right?
It talks to you.
That bike was like, "You'll be Batman."
She was
Right.
like, she was like, "Hello, Chuck."
Hello. Well, she is somewhat. She's a V-Rod, so
I
she has
know.
some
She
Porsche
has
DNA in there. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. But that is 100% the reason I started riding again. Is I walked to that dealership and dead stopped and went.
Yeah. And, he was
Oh,
like, and
That's
No.
the one.
and I got a call like 10 minutes later. He's
100%.
like, Z, can I buy this bike? And I'm like, yeah, you can go. Just do whatever you want to
Aw.
do. Like
That's your
I
money.
had
Do what you
no,
wanna do.
I had no concept of what motorcycle riding was. Like I didn't have any preconceived notions about it being too dangerous or anything like that because I like grew up. I went in Utah where everybody rode and people rode without helmets. So it was like a common thing for me, but it just wasn't something that spoke to me per se. But when he got on the bike and he took it around the corner for a couple of times, and I was just like, all right, because our apartment was like right across the street from the gym, and he wanted to get some practice in, and so he rode the bike at 4:30 in the morning, started up his freaking V-Rod,
So loud.
and here I
Good
am in my
morning.
car just driving behind him.
I'm behind her like,
Following him to the
Following
oh,
him
yeah,
to the
yeah,
gym.
She was following.
Because I didn't have a helmet, I didn't have anything, and I was like, this is your thing.
You weren't that thrilled to get on either?
No, I wasn't. I was like,
But you're so crazy.
I
to
can and I can't.
think
you
of that
know?
moment though, and like what that actually has translated to. Like
know.
that exact moment of watching him and riding behind in your
Yeah.
car.
And then I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. Like, get me a helmet. I'll ride behind you. Like, we don't need to take two vehicles to the gym. So,
She even saw me drop it once in that 2-week period.
yeah.
And yes, I played it off well.
Well, I mean, the bike was hard to turn, and it was a tight turn.
I hadn't ridden in forever, and I chose a V-Rod to start again on. It has that
Long
big ass
rake.
tire in the back.
Mhm.
Does not, and the last bike I'd been on was a Ducati. This bike did not want to lean, so I went around the corner, and it just didn't go where where I wanted it to go, and so I kind of clipped the corner, and it went over, and I combat rolled,
Oh,
right, like
geez.
trying to like add emphasis or whatever. And then got up like, yeah, I'm good. It hurt. I hit my
Baby.
shoulder so hard that day, but I could not show
You
it.
did play it off.
I could not show
I
it.
didn't realize that
You didn't
were
know
in
he
more
was a
pain.
real life ninja?
No.
I got
I mean,
right,
I know now.
I got right back up on it and was like, all right, let's go. She's like, you okay? And I was like, I'm good. Meanwhile, I'm like,
Right?
It's like, I'm
At the
keeping this
gym.
bike though.
I was keeping it, no doubt. No doubt.
That was a badass bike.
Yeah.
The
it
V-Rod?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, that was stock. And then I got a helmet and I got on the back of it and I rode it. I rode with him like a couple of times. I mean, it's kind of like riding on the back of a sport bike
Mhm.
because it's just,
That back seat's really small.
it's
too.
small and like you're leaned over and it has the drag bars. So he's leaned over and I'm
Yep.
leaned over with him. And it just, not being able to see in front of me and like, just like leaning
Big
over.
helmet.
Mhm.
too.
Helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I want my own motorcycle.
I've tried to point out or identify the moments. I think there was one day that you were on the back and I said, hold on tight, let's go. Right. And I got on her
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt a different energy from you when we got off the bike that day. And it was like a day later that you told me.
The
Yeah.
aha moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think she realized, oh, they accelerate like this.
Yeah.
I always love that part. There's just like,
And
like
I've
a
al-
tightening in your stomach or
Oh my
something.
God.
It's so thrilling.
It is. And I've always been a fan of like fast cars.
Mhm.
Like every car that I had, I wanted it to go fast. And when I was younger, I was super into imports.
Yep.
So like a Diablo or Ferrari and all these other like
I
import.
had a 1985 Porsche 944 in high school.
Did you really?
In high school?
In
I
high
know.
school.
Where did you grow up?
I was in high school in Dawsonville.
Dawsonville, and you had a Porsche.
Yeah.
Not
How
crazy.
did that? What color
Yeah,
was it?
it
I'm
was
trying
white.
to picture. White.
It was white. Yeah.
Was it loud?
Damn.
No.
girl.
Oh,
Not
If you had
loud.
that car right now,
I'd like something else.
I know, but like it's a classic.
It is a classic.
That's a-
Yeah. My stepdad at the time before he passed away, he worked for Jim Ellis, so
Okay.
we got a
Oh,
killer
okay.
deal on it. And I rode that thing until it stopped running.
That's
and
crazy.
I didn't know what to do with it, so I sold it for
Yeah.
probably way less than I should have.
Yeah.
Was that your first car?
No, my first car was a Nissan Maxima,
Okay.
a old maroon Nissan Maxima.
Yeah. My first car was a Nissan Altima. Well, that was the first car I bought. My first car was a Mazda Protege, a 91.
Yeah, fast cars.
Yeah.
Did you go fast in your car? Like, did you take it out and like really like?
I'm
If
sure
my
she
mom's
did.
listening, no.
Come on.
Yeah,
But if you know Shauna.
What's the horsepower on that?
I don't even remember. I have no idea. I didn't know shit about cars then.
I should look this
I mean,
up.
you can
Young-
Google it.
Young
a
Sharon.
I'm a producer. I need to look.
Yeah,
What was the
and it was
horsepower?
a
What was it?
1985.5. It was after they rebuilt the engine halfway through
Wow.
through the year.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a Porsche.
Yeah, 944.
Yeah, horsepower torque.
So
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 my-
yeah, I
and
was
it wasn't the turbo though. They wouldn't let me have that.
course
Probably
not.
smart.
I remember coming home and telling my mom I got my first ticket though. I was still living at home, but I was 18 and graduated. And she told me I was lucky that I was graduated. 'Cause
Mhm.
otherwise, she would take my key.
Horsepower is 150 bhp.
Yep, that's 150 horsepower.
Oh.
And so
wow.
and so that
500
car
5,500 RPM.
and that car was probably what 2,500 pounds.
Sure.
So
Is that
so
what it says on here?
I don't
so think about that. Think about how much cars have changed now.
I
From
know.
there, that car that's like a what 4-cylinder Tercel,
Right now, yeah.
150
As
horsepower.
far as the horsepower goes,
yeah, that's like a
Dude, they were
That's-
tanks back then.
Yeah.
yeah.
They were freaking tanks. Like, I remember I ran into something and it didn't do anything to
Nothing.
it. Nothing.
I
to
know.
it.
Cars were
They
made
were tanks.
so much better back then.
my first car was an 81 Oldsmobile Omega. That,
Sorry, Chuck.
that was a
Sorry.
2-door with a slant 6 in it, which means nothing. I know I always say it, even though because that's how my stepdad told me it's got a slant 6 in it.
Mm-hmm.
When I bought it, it didn't run. I bought it from my parents. I had to pay them $600 for this car.
Nice.
The first thing I did in it, because it didn't have a stereo at all, no stereo in it whatsoever, and the lining had started to fall, so you couldn't open the windows because when you were driving, it's just stuck.
Do you remember that stuff from like?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just-
yeah.
You get just.
And then people took thumbtacks and they would
So
tack
I-
it back up.
Yeah.
My dad
Or like
was a
staple
my
gun.
dad was a carpenter, so I started with an actual industrial stapler because he had one, and it went through the roof.
Oh my
Like the 2
God.
points came out, so, then I
it
got
leaked.
yes. So then I got a regular stapler. All right. So one last thing on it. My mom played the organ in church, and I told you it didn't have a stereo in it, right? And so she would always bring like their old organs. Like so, over the years, she collected these old organs that were broken that she had in like the shed out back. So I went out there and took the speakers out of an old organ.
You had organ speakers in your car.
I did.
In his car.
I built boxes for them.
Wow.
I went and got a Roadmaster cassette player. You know the one that you pull out? I remember.
So no one will steal it? Is that why?
I guess that was the point.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I guess no one was gonna steal. It's $20 at Kmart, I think.
Nice.
Blue light special and
It's
shit.
like nobody
Love
wanted this
Kmart.
anyways.
But it sounded like absolute ass. And but I thought I was the stuff because what was his name? Gangster.
Ice Cube.
No.
Ice Cube.
It was a clear black night, a clear white moon.
Warren
Oh,
G.
Warren G.
Yeah.
I mean,
That-
it was a part of that crew.
That
Kinda.
that
Same
had
time.
just come out. I wore that cassette out. I thought I was the stuff.
Did
I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
drove that car to the wheel.
That's
field.
no
That's a
bass
normal-
whatsoever, or it had bass.
Oh God, no! It was it was
it was an organ.
It was the Oregon 808.
it sounded
Sorry.
like you know how like
Wait.
sometimes like you hear a speaker and the audio's not the words aren't very
Yeah,
clear.
yeah,
It's like, "Wah, wah, 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 wah." But it was like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was my first car. It was Bondo, by the way, in color, because they were going to paint it.
Oh my gosh. So it was like primer.
Yes,
The car? Wait, the car?
yes,
Oh God.
yeah.
So he's
But you
rolling
couldn't tell me nothing.
a primed car.
I had my freedom.
Hello.
that car
That's what I'm saying.
that car
Hello.
represented my absolute freedom. I went so far. It's like 40 minutes from the house.
Woohoo!
I snuck off and drove to Tennessee in my Nissan Maxima.
Oh
okay?
my
Yeah.
gosh.
Did you really?
That's
To
hilarious.
Tennessee?
Yeah. My first car, the Mazda Protege, I bought it off my brother, and
Ford Probe.
it was a 91, and I bought it for like $300, but it had like a messed up transmission. So it drove like it was a stick shift.
Oh,
And it wasn't. It was like, And then finally, get this. My sister borrowed it and got into a car accident with it,
Oh.
but it wasn't her fault. And so I got like $2,500. That was like Kelly Blue Book value of
The
the car.
insurance payout?
Yes, from the
And you
insurance.
paid how much for it?
$300.
You was on a come
Oh
up.
my
I
god.
was. So I took that money and put it down on a Nissan Altima. That was my first car, and it was a stick shift, and I had no idea how to drive
Oh my
it.
gosh, that's awesome that you did that.
And my mom was in the car with me as I drove it off the lot, and we stalled like 100 times getting home. But I learned how to drive stick, and so from that point on, like all of my vehicles were stick shift until I would say maybe 10 years ago. All my vehicles were stick shift, and I loved it. I just loved being able to like go through the
How
gears.
did that transition into riding?
Exactly.
gonna
Like it
say.
really helps. Like I knew mentally what to
Conceptually,
do.
yeah, what it
You
meant.
know, with the
Yeah.
shifting.
But you all have 6 gears, right, on your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, our 883 had 5,
Yeah.
and my Indian had 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
That's
5.
the first time I've had 6.
I know. Sometimes I forget to put it in 6.
I do
I'm like,
too. You know how many times I have been in 5th gear, and I'm like, I have a whole other gear
I
Another
know.
gear here.
that I don't even use.
Exactly.
Got cobwebs on it.
Right?
I kind of, it's funny. Sometimes you get nostalgic for those days where a car was just a car, like any car.
Yeah.
I have a car, right? There was a big deal. And now it's like, how cool is my
And
car?
that was freedom.
Right.
Yeah,
But back then, you did not care.
We didn't care.
Just, I got a car.
I have a car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have freedom. I can drive. Like,
But that freedom translates, I think, into what riding is like at this point in my life. Would you
think so.
say
Yeah,
the same?
I agree.
I would agree.
that
agree.
that same feeling. I was following a friend of mine the other day, and he was riding in front of me, and it was funny. I was in my Prius, okay, the
Mhm.
Prius, Priana.
You drive a Prius, you can
Yes,
save
we
money to
named-
buy more ammunition, right?
That's why I do it.
You good.
Oh,
We named her Priyana.
we named her Priana.
And
Her
we're
name-
drinking cheers.
Oh,
Chuck.
cheers, you guys. Cheers. Yeah. So anyway, I was following him, and it's interesting because watching him ride, he's so agile. And then other bike riders would come in and would do like the finger salute, and I was like, man, it's just sad to be in my car because even just trying to keep up, it was a challenge. As much as I love my Prius, okay.
Do you ever think, man, if you only knew I ride?
I
Yeah.
do that all the
Do
time
you
when I'm in
ever
a bike.
accidentally almost
Yes,
in your car?
Yes, I have done that.
do.
Have
I've
you
been
ever
like,
hit the
oh.
door
Yeah.
trying to do it?
No,
Oh,
I've done that
you're like this. You're
one
like,
time.
you're like, oh.
Yes, one time I did that. I was like, oh, that was stupid.
stop it right now.
Yeah, I've done it.
That's
one time.
hilarious. Always like,
And then when I drove the Wrangler, it was
Yeah.
a 2-finger wave
that's
up.
true. Yeah.
So like there'd be times I'd be confused. I'm like, oh,
What?
wait,
There's
wait,
a Wrangler thing.
For
oh
Jeeps.
yeah.
Oh, I
For
didn't- oh.
Wranglers, you
Oh yeah.
you do 2 fingers.
Have you
up.
gotten ducks?
Well, I
you-
don't drive the Wrangler anymore.
No. When you did
Yeah.
you? Oh,
I don't want to talk about it.
we're not talking about the ducks.
the source.
No, the
Speak-
Wrangler. I don't-
Speaking of the
Wrangler.
biker wave, just for real quick, am I the only one that when you don't get one back, you're like, asshole?
Wait,
Yeah,
can
no.
we talk about the time that you? So we're
Like,
riding. Where were we? We were
Was it?
Blood Mountain or
What? Chuck?
Terrahala.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It was either Blood Mountain
This
or
guy
Terrahola.
comes by and he's like waving like this, and Chuck's like, "Yo, I'm gonna do this. Every biker that comes by now, I'm gonna start doing like this to him
Yeah.
as they're coming by." So Chuck's doing this to everybody, right? And he catches this one guy off guard, and the guy starts doing this, and he kind of looks at his hand like,
He's like, what am I doing?
And
I was
he
like-
throws his hand back down.
I was like, I got him. I got him.
But Chuck died. Like, I think he's gonna fall off his bike laughing because this guy is like,
He was so disappointed in himself. He was so upset with what he had just done.
Yeah.
Because I emphasized it. I wasn't just like,
oh no, he
No, I
was,
was
like
like-
coming up off. He's like following them by, making sure they
If
saw
someone
it.
waved to me like that, I'd probably be like, "What? Why? Is that the
What
new
happened?
way?
That's exactly what he did.
Yep.
That
But
was
yeah,
awesome.
it is kind of annoying. Other than when you're like in the mountains and you know that there
Oh,
are a
when there's
ton
a-
of bikes and
You'd be doing it all day.
curves.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like in Sturgis,
No one does.
you don't do it.
Right.
Nobody.
Because
waves.
everybody would be.
Because
You
you'd be doing
know,
this
all
the
the
whole
time.
time.
I don't wave when they're on the other side of a divided highway either. The people that wave over
I know.
there, I'm
Question
like,
for you though.
I
Question
know.
for
we're
you.
like a world apart right now.
So one of our other Litas that I ride with, Anna, she usually leads when we ride together, and she has a Kawasaki.
Yeah.
And I did not know that not all bike riders will give you that 2-finger hello or whatever, unless you're riding a Harley or something. Until I was riding with her, and I was confused why no one was. Not no one, but a lot of people would ignore the fact that we're passing them, and I thought that was interesting. What do you think of that?
I don't care what you're.
I
Yeah,
thought it was the
doesn't bother me.
opposite. I thought it was like if you're not riding what they're riding, like I don't know.
I've heard different things.
Me
I've
too.
heard. I know a lot of people that will not give
They
the wave to trikes.
We are
right.
we as a society are just too rich that this is what we care about.
Right? Hello, first
What
world problems.
bike? What bike are you riding?
I can't even tell 9 times out of 10. I'm like, there's a bike coming. I'm not sure what the brand is.
What
usually.
about
not
the
putting my
what
hand
about
down.
the like road moped? What are they called?
Oh, the
That look like
scooters?
motorcycles when they're
Oh,
coming
they
at
get
you,
me
and then you
sometimes.
wave.
I
and then
know, you're
so
like,
son
disappointed
of a
you waved at
bitch.
them.
yes.
I'm, always,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
that
disappointed
person.
in
Yeah,
me.
me too.
Me too.
I'm
Oh my
always
God,
like,
take it back! I want to ride back up to him and be like, "Give it back, Let's take it back."
Like, I
For
didn't mean to.
For like 10 minutes, I'm like, it's a fucking Vespa.
right, right.
They think They think they're doing what you're doing. They're not.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say this: if they have 2 wheels on the ground like I do, I want them
how
to get where they
sweet.
are safe. That's right.
Do you give?
Bicycles.
No,
I do.
they're annoying. I'm like,
Hey,
you're
what about that time we pulled up at a? Were you with us when we went to? What's the burger place downtown Atlanta with the skull?
Oh, yeah.
Vortex. And
Vortex.
the group of guys on the bicycles pulled up right beside us and parked beside all the bikes.
Did
No.
they?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was there, but I think I
and
got
they
there before
literally
you
took
guys.
their helmets off and hung them
Oh my
and
gosh,
walked
they
in
thought
with
they were
us. Like,
bikers.
oh yeah, they were.
Oh yeah,
they
they
were
were
killing it.
enjoying that.
They were killing it.
Oh my! I
There-
do not remember
There
that.
used to
one.
be a group in Atlanta. I don't know if they're still doing it, called the Swoops. They were all they rode were like Vespas and scooters, and they would ride through bike nights. Like, so you would have like all these motorcycles, these Harley guys. They'd ride through and pretend to do little stunts. Like this
Swoop.
group of like 15 people on like scooters, and then they would just leave. So it was always funny to me. They were called the Swoops, I think.
What about the guy that showed up on actually the really cool classic Vespa
The
that
one-
one night
Oh.
at our bike night?
Yeah.
Was
that
that
had-
in Roswell?
The grease
No,
lightning
no, no,
one.
No.
at Jimmy's.
Oh, at
Jimmy's.
Jimmy's?
Yeah, he had
Oh,
it.
that's
Shout out to
It was the
Jimmy's
white-
Tequila.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to
Shout
Jimmy's
out.
Tequila in Doraville.
Yes, for hosting
host our bike
monthly
nights every
bike
month.
nights.
But yeah, he showed up on a. You might know it more information. It was a
Lightning.
classic.
It was a Vespa.
It was
It was gorgeous.
It's a beautiful color.
Shauna always like, you might know more information.
They
Well,
actually,
you know, you're very inquisitive. So
they
you
have
ask
a
all the
shop.
questions I want to know, but I don't have the energy to.
I
talk.
know the energy to like entertain. They
Did she tell you about my cigar thing where I literally paid for a dude's cigar and drink just so I could hear his story? Okay, all right, go ahead.
No, but all I was saying was like that guy that had that Vespa. They actually have a shop in Doraville where they soup those Vespas up. So they go 90. They could do 90 to 150 horsepower. In
Oh yeah,
those things.
there's
What?
some
Yeah.
that'll move for sure.
They'll move, which is crazy.
I've actually never been
eh.
on a Vespa
I haven't either.
I
or a moped.
Me
I have
either.
adopted the policy of 3 downing anyone on a trike.
Like this.
3 down, 3.
Okay, I'm doing
You
it.
do.
It's mine now.
I do it. I mean, I want to give them something,
3 down. Well, 2 means keep 2 down.
right?
Like
Keep
yeah,
3
the
down,
wheels on
bro.
the road. Keep
I know
3
it's easy
down.
to do, but go ahead and do it.
I've just gotten to this where I'm just like, hang loose,
Yeah.
Well,
stay
see,
loose, stay fluid.
Yeah.
Anybody know that show?
so wait a minute now.
Anybody? No,
You are who do you pull for in college football?
I don't watch college football.
But you had a problem with drinking out of a Gamecock cup earlier.
Just because she doesn't want to be on a team.
I just didn't want to be. You know, I don't have an answer for this, Chuck.
Okay, well, the
I'm
only
gonna
reason
drink my whiskey now.
only
What are
reason
we
I'm-
drinking? Whistle Pig.
the only reason why I'm telling you is because this is Go Cox.
Oh
It is.
No, this is Hang Loose.
That's Go Cox where I'm from.
Chuck, if it's in your right hand, it's go Cox,
What?
right?
I never read that.
No.
I didn't read that.
What are we
in the-
talking
That's what I'm
about?
seeing.
This is hang loose.
All right, all right.
You remember one of the first rides we went on, the first couple of rides, like that's how I would check the group to see
Yeah.
if we were ready, like everybody. And everybody just kind of was like,
Yeah, I'm ready.
let's go. It's like, this is a universal, like everybody knows what this means. Like, we're good.
Alright.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go.
Yeah. That's so funny.
What are
I'm
some?
think
Oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking about all the rides, and like in the beginning, I led a lot of the ride.
You still lead all the rides
Yeah,
because
you're great.
can we talk about,
If
you've
you-
never been in a ride where I had to lead it.
If you lead it,
Well, I've ridden
Shauna.
with you, Shauna, and
No.
I'm like, "Whoa, I'm going 80 on a highway. I didn't know I
Exactly.
could do that."
No, Z's like the best group leader I have ever ridden with, and I mean, not
Very
to say that I've ridden in a
conscientious,
bunch of groups, but
Careful.
she's very
Yes.
calculated and very.
That's why
like,
I don't want to lead.
Yeah,
I
no,
worry,
I'm
except
not.
except for the
It's a
direction.
skill.
Like
sometimes.
even like in a car, I will leave you at a red light, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I know the light's turning, but I just assume everybody will run it like I do.
So that's Chuck. So like whenever we're leading rides together, when he's leading, he's like the false leader because like he'll take off and I'm like still behind. Like, all right, guys, I got this.
She's so much better.
Just follow me.
She's so much better
She's
at it than I am.
amazing at leading a
Mhm.
group.
I
like,
appreciate that. It's a skill.
Thank you.
5 years she's
I
been
get-
leading our group rides.
I have so much anxiety every time because I want everything to like be perfect. But a couple of times I've taken us through the Atlanta.
Oh, we did 2 loops around the Atlanta, airport through like the drop off, through like the departure lane, like a group of like 20 bikes, not once, but twice.
the same.
on the
They were like, "What are you
same
guys doing?"
ride? And I was like, well, here is the Atlanta airport. like,
To your left, you will see parked cars. To the right, people
and you know,
departing.
it's funny because like we went back and forth over. You would use one GPS early
Yes.
on, I would use the other, and I'm like, stop using Apple Maps. Like,
yeah.
no offense to Apple, but the maps,
They're all
I don't
messed
know.
up.
They're delayed or something. I don't know. I'm like, turn on Google Maps. Girl.
Yeah.
And I could predict where you were gonna go, and I'm like, she's making the wrong turn.
I know.
And then, you know, early on, I didn't have a very good Bluetooth setup, so I tried to radio her, and we couldn't hear each other because we're so far apart. Because
Yeah.
there's so many bikes in the group, and I'm like, don't turn here, don't turn here, and everybody's putting their, you know, hand signals up, and I'm like, we're turning the wrong way again. There was a couple of times where I'm like, I know she's about to make this turn, so I would speed like
I know, I
120
get it.
miles an hour to the front of the group, and I'm like,
No, go this that
do not turn that way, you know, keep going straight. And she's looking at the GPS and she's like, it's saying go this way. I'm like, that's not God. Like, you don't have to do what that says.
See where I get it from?
But luckily, you have Cardos now, so you can actually talk about that stuff.
Well,
Shout out
I
to
mean, I
Cardo.
don't have a Cardo, but my Bluetooth is much better now than it was.
Oh, you don't have a Cardo?
No.
She has a Senna, but
We need to get you a Cardo.
we'll fix
Okay.
her up.
All right.
I do
let's
think
it.
that's something really nice about being able to say, like I've ridden with Trisha, one of our other Litas. We automatically
Connect, yeah.
Yeah.
when we're
You already have,
together.
That's
like
the
a-
mesh system. So not
Yeah.
all, so now I know Cardo, I think, was first in that,
Yeah.
the
With
mesh system. And now Senna, the higher models have now got that, and I think they mesh with Cardo too.
Yeah.
So
Well, Cardo actually now will connect with anything. They
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
just
yeah.
updated will connect with anything.
That's
but as
so
far as like
nice,
the
yeah.
audio quality and all that,
spot on.
it's so good. They use
I'll
JBL
try it out.
speakers. They're
Mhm.
really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you also have like an upgrade speaker you can get. I think it's the 45 millimeter.
Yeah.
But
really
it's
good.
nice when you're
Try
about
that
to
out.
come up to like a light or something, and you can say, okay, we're going to turn this way, but according to my GPS, there's going to be a big turn. I don't know. I like the information.
It's
Yeah.
it's funny though that because when my wife is wrong about a direction, she's very
committed wrong.
she's very confident.
Oh, I know.
Like no, she
knows.
She's committed. I've walked a half a mile in the wrong direction literally walked.
Walked. Because I'm
I-
like,
I-
no, it's this way.
And I supported it. She was so committed. How do you not support it?
and it's weird that you brought up the GPS because I'm an absolute GPS follower. Because in my brain, this is what I think. This thing is sending signals to space and it's getting real-time updated traffic data, things I couldn't. It knows more in half a second than I know in my entire
Right.
driving experience, right? So I'm going to play the odds and go that this is probably going to be right 99.9% of the time, and I'm going to follow the GPS. it's probably dumbing me down.
It does, because you don't learn
But just
anywhere
like
you
my
go.
just like my math teacher who told me I would not have a calculator with me at all times, I do.
He got very intense in
He
that
did
comment.
because he knows what I'm going to say. Like, you never learn. Like, so
But I don't have
normal
to.
routes
So
that
I'm
you
the
go.
opposite.
But I don't have to. But I don't have
I'll
to.
take another road if I think it'll go
Well,
around.
that's my point. Is that I don't have to know anymore. And if you're like, well, what happens if the society collapse? I've got bigger problems. Then how do I get somewhere?
That's you know
I-
you're not wrong.
Okay. So, anyways,
That's a nice way
but-
to say it.
but
You're not wrong.
yeah, I appreciate that.
It's facts though.
But Z will like look at the GPS and go, mm-mm. I don't like it. We're gonna go the way that, and I agree that 80% of the time it's usually fine,
Yeah.
and those are the 80% that we talk about. The 20%
The
where
other
we sit in
20%.
traffic for 6 hours.
Oh, snap. One time. So, like,
Snap.
I think we went to Miami. I think this is when we drove to Miami and took
Yeah.
the kids to Miami.
Yeah.
And he dropped his bike off in Morrow to get it worked on, because that's where he got his bike, was at the
Thunder Tower.
Thunder Tower in Morrow.
Mhm.
The
And
V
so
Road.
How awesome is that freaking dealership? though?
it's huge. Yeah, it's nice.
They've got the
Preston's.
tower of bikes in the
Yes.
The
window.
Prestons are
I've never
great.
Sorry,
been
go
there.
ahead.
I need a
Oh,
chip.
it's beautiful.
We gotta go.
Yeah. So he dropped his bike off on the way to Miami. So went there 12 hours or whatever, 14 hours to get to Miami. Came back and he was picking it up. And it was about to start storming. And so we were having to go through downtown Atlanta to get to our house in I think we were living in Vining still at the time. So we drove, and Waze, like I didn't like Waze at the time. Like I'm
Hate
not
Waze.
driving with Waze. Like I put Google Maps on, and Google Map told me to go through it take 20 to 285
Mm-hmm.
to Vinings right there. And he's like, no, Waze is telling me through Atlanta down to 280 or 75 to whatever. I'm like, well, I'm driving my car, and so I'm like leading, and I take him through 280 or 20 to 285, and like it starts pouring
Oh my
down rain. Like he's freaking soaked to
Aw,
the bone. Like he's
Chuck.
about to die on the highway.
So last year wasn't the first time you led someone to a dark storm
no,
that we got poured on.
Oh, was that going down to Destin?
Destin.
Oh, I'd never forget that.
And then I
There's
didn't
a cloud
stop
over there. Then it was here.
We all had rain gear on our
Yes, we
bikes,
did.
and we did not
I
stop.
have that on video. I have it
No.
on GoPro. Us riding.
I'm
into
riding into the storm.
The sky is so
Riders
black.
on the
It looks
storm.
like we're riding off the end of the earth, and I'm like,
My
at some point
jeans.
she's going to stop,
Yeah.
Right?
so we can all get out our rain gear.
Yeah.
No,
We were like, we're almost there. We're almost there.
I thought we
No,
were
we
almost
didn't
there.
stop.
Yeah.
And
I-
then it just started coming down.
My wife and I have had this conversation, and she intellectually understands that when it says 20% chance of rain, that doesn't mean that, well, there's a 20% chance rain might happen. It means that 20% of the area you're in is going to get rain,
Right.
right? So we still have that conversation today. She goes, well, it's only a 50% chance. That means 50% of the area that we're going to is going to be raining on us, right? So there's
But
two
did you
tech-
die though?
No, we
we did
didn't
not
die.
die,
No,
and it was
but
a great story. We
It is a
froze
great
our
story.
asses
We did
off.
in the
it was
restaurant.
so cold.
Because it
And
was-
you remember all of
remember
our
those
chairs
folks?
had puddles under them
Yeah.
because we were dripping.
I remember I had like
Like
3 cups of coffee
dripping.
to warm up, and it was in the afternoon, and I was like, I don't care. I'll be
But then we
awake
got
all
on the
night.
bikes after we ate, and it was like
Good.
freaking
Wait, but we
sunshine.
put on our rain gear after.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and then
did.
rode into
after
the sun.
we were soaked, and put on our rain gear.
and rode into the sun.
In rain gear with it was like we were in like sauna suits. By the
was.
time we got
It
there.
I'm trying to cut weight. I'm good.
It was sauna.
But yeah, we have like a roll of paper towels. You remember that? We were trying to
I
clean up the
do.
puddles of water under the table.
Right.
They were so nice to us because when we got off of our bikes, I were like, there were these guys that were like, oh, and talking about how hard it was for us to, like, how far are we from where we need to be? You need to stay right here for a long time. 'cause
know.
This rain is going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
So
And we're
we did for hours. We just kind of sat and good times.
Good times. It was actually one of my questions. If you guys had a ride or a memory that really kind of stands out as one of y'all's favorite over the last
It's a
several
lot.
years?
Yeah.
I mean, you got the camping trips.
So I was gonna say our camping trips definitely top everything. I think
I
every
agree.
year has been different.
Mhm.
We connect kind of differently on each trip with a
Mhm.
different group of people. You know, we have our core group of people, like Sharon mentioned earlier. Like we have our core group of people that show up, but each year I feel like we've been able to connect with a different, group of people
Yeah.
each time. But that ride where we rode Buford Dam
Mm-hmm.
and we stopped for a picture or whatever, but there's a part of the road that, and I'm always the sweeper in our group, and there's a part of the road where you come down the hill, and our group, how many people did we have?
It was
Maybe like 20 bikes.
20 to 30 bikes.
20 to 30 bikes, and you're coming down the hill, and the hill goes up. And as I'm rounding the top of the hill, I can see the front of the group going up that hill, and it's gorgeous. I remember hitting her on the
Yeah, it's
Bluetooth and being like, "Oh my God, we need to get Chuck out here in front of the group so he can get like a picture of this." And we've never gone back and done it.
I know.
That should
We've
be
got to go back
Yeah.
and do
a
that.
goal.
'Cause
That
that
should
was
be a
on the
fall
way-
goal.
I know. That was on the way to Killer Creek, right? So it was
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
hill that.
Yep.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. You were like, this is a perfect.
That
like,
would be a great picture to get the whole group kind of coming
Yeah,
down the
as
hill.
a
But
snake.
I still remember that because there's a picture that floats across Instagram over the last few years. It's a group of bikers, and it's like they're all coming down a hill. And I saw that first, and I was like, that's cool.
that's- yeah.
And I remember that moment being like, this is the perfect spot
Yep,
to do
I
that
remember that.
picture. That's definitely a memory.
What
Camping
about you,
trips.
Z? What's been one of your favorite rides
Favorite rides? I mean,
or moments?
so many. I
What
remember
about the 9/11 ride?
that was fun.
I was crying in my
yeah,
helmet.
that was fun. We were like, I don't know how many bikes, 500.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't
600
go, but I
bikes.
remember it was it the 20th anniversary, right? So
Mhm.
it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
people on the side of the road that were cheering us
I
on.
know.
I was,
That was amazing.
bawling in my helmet.
And it was escorted, right?
I'm getting chills right now
Yeah.
thinking about it. Like
Ooh.
It was escorted.
insane.
Yeah, going that slow though kills your hands.
What are you going like? What third?
Oh, it was
30.
really slow. It was really slow.
30.
Going 30
I
the whole
I don't
time?
think I ever got out of second gear.
40
Oof.
at the most.
Yeah.
But that was great. Just like gave you all the warm and
Sorry, I
fuzzies
cut you
for
off.
doing that. No, you're good. But I'm just like remembering like when we first started and just like how small. One year we went to Barber and it was
Oh.
it was just you and I.
Yeah, I could.
Well,
Remember? And Chuck.
and then two
and then
randos
two
that y'all
randos.
picked up.
Yeah, two guys that wanted to
Hey,
come
wanna
ride
come
with
to-
us.
Oh wow, really?
But we put it out to the group, and we were the only ones that went.
Yeah.
And I remember like feeling really intimidated by Chuck and not wanting to stop because I was hurting. I was
Oh,
on my
yeah.
883,
It's not.
and
it
he
wasn't
got
him.
off the bike at the gas station and started stretching. I was like, God,
Yeah.
I get to get off and stretch.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not
have to be a
him.
badass the whole time.
It's not him that doesn't want to stop. Like I do this even
Oh,
when
I
I'm
figured that out now. Like you don't ever want to stop. But I
Ever.
was like, when I saw you get off the bike and start stretching, I was like, he's human. Like, oh my God, I can
Yeah.
get off and stretch.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, oh my God, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I'm just
know.
gonna pull over. They'll be fine. They can keep going. I can find my way home.
Which you always do.
Think
you
about that.
always end up like
I want to make a point to you.
oh,
That's a how long ride?
to Barber.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Would 2.5 hours bother you at all now?
Hip wise, yes.
It would.
Yeah, about 2 hours is when I need to stop and stretch. You know,
Okay.
I don't have a lazy boy for a bike like you guys do.
And you have the big gas tanks too, where you can
That
go.
is true.
Well, now I do. I can. It's not the gas. Used to, I blamed it on the gas tank.
Right.
Like
Right.
I could get about 90 miles before I had to stop, and it
That's
was
my sport,
amazing.
too.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
good
I can keep.
excuse.
Now I just got to be honest. Like I'm old. I'm falling apart. I gotta stop. I gotta stretch. Like my shoulder that has a torn labrum starts getting messed up. My leg starts falling
Yeah.
asleep, and I need that to stop. Like I need my leg,
I
but
know.
I have to say this though. I have followed Chauna many times on many rides, and when we're on the highway,
oh, please tell this story.
I was following Shauna. We're going like 80 on the highway, and I'm like, I didn't know my bike could go this fast. And so, Shauna like moved her. She like I don't know exactly how you did, but you like moved your hip over to where, and you had your arm down like this, and you looked so cool. And I'm like, man, I'm following this girl that's so comfortable on the highway and looks so cool.
Meanwhile, it's just because I'm falling apart. And
It's
I'm
because
trying
she
to
said she had
stretch.
pain. She told me she was in pain,
I
but
always
it looked
think
good.
Shauna looks way better on a bike than
does. I was
anybody.
like,
I
It's
always,
normally because I'm hurting.
but you're always like, oh, damn, I wish I,
thought
looked
you
like
were gonna
that
tell
riding.
the foot out story.
Oh yeah, that was the other story. Well, she did have her foot out, so she had her arm
Yeah.
down, her foot was out, and she looked so comfortable on the highway that I was like, "That's it. I must mirror this."
Yeah.
And then I made like this huge mistake because my highway peg is right next to where my brake is, and
Oh,
by
shit.
accident, I couldn't figure out why my bike wasn't stopping, but I was pressing the highway peg and not, and not the brake. Why are we telling this story right now?
Because like
So
we said
embarrassing.
earlier, we tell all the stories that
It
we
was
mess up
so-
on because we all
I
do it.
messed up. That was the same day that I had left my bag open and all my stuff was flying.
Oh yeah, I had
Yeah.
a yard sale moment too.
Oh, yeah.
I was coming
Good
back
times,
from Florida
man.
one day and
Panama City.
bag, strap broke, bag yard sold
Gun.
all over the highway.
clean
Gun
now.
slid about a football field link up the highway.
Oh
I
my
haven't
gosh,
shot it.
She's
since
lucky.
then,
You're
actually.
lucky that you didn't like.
A
Did
truck
you
ran
get-
over it. Yeah, a big ass truck ran over the gun. It was, and it went flipping.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
That
was
could have
fun.
been horrible. Thank God
Yeah.
you're okay.
Well,
But my most favorite ride was last year when we took everybody to the Tail of the Dragon and we did that
Yeah.
October overnight. That was fun.
A
That was
2-wheel in.
fun.
That was fun. At 2 Inn,
Mhm.
like meeting you guys up there and then like taking you through the
Mhm.
tail
That
and
was
then the
fun.
Cherhala Skyway.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was beautiful too. Beautiful time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see, like 6 or 7 days ago, the floods washed
Yeah,
out part of the
Cherahalla.
Cherahalla?
Crazy.
And then the dragon, there was a mudslide same day.
well, hopefully they get
Man, I
it fixed
wasn't
by fall. Cause
Did you see the detour on that?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's like an hour to get around. There's only one way to go around. It's all the way back around.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's some traffic.
Is that
What
you're
about
playing?
you, Sharon?
What? Oh, favorite rides. Let's see. The first ride that I did to go through downtown and everything because it was the longest I had been by myself on a bike, and I think I felt very accomplished and proud of myself. That was probably like the biggest impact for me. Was look at me riding. Like I had a moment I can remember. Well, I was very concerned about people around me, but I was in like the
carpooling.
the carpool lane. Thank you. And I was going through downtown and looking up briefly
Mm-hmm.
at all of these buildings and like, oh my God, I'm on this motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just felt like I accomplished something really big. But I would also say very close to that is last year, Tail of the Dragon, because I had built it up into something so big in my mind and was so proud to finish it. And actually I was like, wait, where was the official end?
I
You know,
know.
it was like, wait, did I
Yeah.
finish it? Oh my gosh. You know, I was so happy. Not only because I felt like I, did something that I had been looking forward to and hoped I would do someday, but I got to do it with like people I trusted really well and felt safe. I didn't feel pushed. There was no one behind me making me feel like I needed to go faster than, because that was a big concern of mine too. And it was just so beautiful too, the time of year. We have to go again.
I know.
And then I
Yeah,
won't be so
absolutely.
afraid. Like I'll maybe take a moment and appreciate it because at the time I was very like white knuckling it. But
yeah.
I would really like to feel like I know what I'm doing, and know that I can accomplish it just fine and appreciate it in a different way. So
Well, now it's time for Sturgis.
next year, right?
Let's do it.
Have 1 year.
Let's
1
do it.
year. All right.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, the other thing that
We're trailering,
I-
right?
we can, yeah, that's fine.
Or shipping?
Trailering.
Okay.
We're not shipping those bikes.
Okay.
We'll
All
trailer.
right. All right.
Um,
I don't
so
know that I'm ready for that ride in my hip and all, in my shoulder.
I feel you. I got you.
It's like
I
a
got you.
3-week, 4-week ride.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, it's
With her stopping every 2 hours?
Oh, with her stopping every time.
Okay.
Shauna's hip.
I'll
get some
get a
stem
lazy
cell
boy
shop
for a
in that
bike.
thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you got to get one. Like you all will be so comfy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, outsider's perspective, one of the things that was most touching to me about what you guys have done over the last 5 years is obviously everything you've done with the Cure, but then you had a member of the group that got cancer, and that ride.
Oh my gosh, I didn't
That
even
came
think
to
of
mind.
that.
That
I
came to
didn't even
mind when
think
we
of
were
saying
talking
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't want to really bring up because it's somewhat of a sad
Yeah,
memory,
yeah.
Yeah.
but the community that came out to support
Yeah.
and do that was was something that I'll always remember.
I
and,
cried.
and-
Yeah,
cried
that's
so
it.
hard.
And you guys, obviously y'all invited husbands and everyone you could think of because it was more about showing this
support.
person.
We just drove
Yeah.
by her
Yeah.
house.
Just let her know.
And she was in the front of her neighborhood with her fiance, I think husband, and her parents, and she was sitting and just watching us go by, and she was waving and so excited, and I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I think when you form a collective like you guys have, that can really be impactful. And from the outsider's perspective, again, it's been awesome to watch you guys do everything you've done. I think it's really cool that you didn't we just want to get some people to ride together, that the moment you realized you had some collective power, you immediately turned that around to try to help other people. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I personally have enjoyed being a spectator and being a part of, in a small way, this over the last 5 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, 5 years is a long time.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
It
It
is.
is a long time.
Most people don't last at their jobs that long
Mhm.
That's
Right,
true.
right,
I mean, I think the
right.
average was 2 and a half, 2 years now.
anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
we've gone over an hour a little bit, but before we close the show tonight, how can people sign up for the Litas? If people see this and they're like, you know what, that's cool. Let me see if there's a Litas chapter nearby, or if there's not, who should they reach out to about potentially starting a Litas chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that's on
y-
the Litas
yeah,
website.
it's on the website, but a lot of people don't know that it's a worldwide collective. There's over 22,000 women that ride with the Litas worldwide.
Yeah.
I think every state now it has at least one, right?
Yeah, almost.
That's
I don't,
awesome.
I don't know. I can't think of a state that doesn't have a branch, but thelitas.com, find your branch. If there's not one, start one.
Yeah,
Start it. Find 2 friends that ride and start it.
absolutely. Yep. And we actually are wanting to continue our fundraiser for the Cure
Yes.
Childhood Cancer Foundation through our next bike night, which is September 5th or 6th. It's that Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the
First
month.
Wednesday of every month.
Jimmy's Tequila.
At Jimmy's Tequila and Carnes
Carnes.
in
Oh, nice.
Doraville. At 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll be out
Yes.
there. But so September 6th. So donate to Cure. We'll have the link up on this podcast
Mhm.
after the show for you all to donate and help us get to 5K.
Help us hit our goal, y'all.
All right.
Yes.
How do you follow the Litas on social media? What is it?
Yeah. So it's the Litas Atlanta on Instagram and on Facebook. And all of the links to join are in our bios.
All right. And
Yep.
Z883 on Instagram.
Shauna_W.
I think it's just Sharon Klein, right? Or
Yes,
is it the
it's
Sharon?
Sharon
Oh,
Klein.
It's just, I think my social media is just Sharon.
Because
Klein.
some of them are the Sharon.
We got to
Yeah.
get you. We got to get it changed to
Producer K.
producer.
And we
Cool.
miss Kat, who wasn't able to join us tonight.
Yeah.
Just follow her as well, Kat
Cat
Camp,
Camp.
on
Yep.
Instagram. So
All right.
thanks for listening, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
well,
Chuck
no,
and
wait.
Z.
Well,
Thank you, Chuck
we
and Z.
obviously truly enjoyed having you on the show. I love talking to both of you at any time. So thank you so much for coming on. Our stuff.
Yes. Make sure to like and subscribe, please. And tell us how you like the show. And Chuck and Z on YouTube, Chuck and Z on Instagram. See you later.
All right. Two
Bye,
down.
everyone.
Shiny
Bye,
setup.
guys.
All that stuff. Peace.